Coming to paperback and e-readers from SJS Direct. Isis, House of Isis. The goddess next door takes on a hustling Hotep high priestess in Harlem in this Afrocentric Isis series adventure. Pre-order Isis, House of Isis on Amazon.com today. Panther at the Magic Johnson Theater this Tuesday. I can honestly say that black masculinity and black manhood took a huge hit in this film. And many people thought Ryan Coogler would do a great job on this film based on his work on films like Fruitvale Station and Creed. However, he took a huge punch to the gut to black masculinity and black manhood with Black Panther. Now, the Black Panther in the comic books is a strong alpha male who takes charge of every situation, and everyone submits to his leadership and his authority. However, in this film, directed by Ryan Coogler and partially written by Ryan Coogler, what happens is that every black man is shown submitting to females and submitting to female authority. And any man who decides to take charge and responsibility for himself as a black man in the way that Killmonger's father did is shown to be a bad man. And I look at this film overall, and it had an extremely gynocentric slant to the material. From the opening scenes of this film, where they tell us the legend of this Black Panther, everything is meant to show the female as being stronger in the black community than the male, and any attempt for a black man to have any sort of power is shown to be something negative. Because I look at that scene after they tell this legend of the Black Panther and then show us the picture of Killmonger's family, and they make it look like a black man being a leader and an authority figure is something bad, and it's something that needs to be punished by these masculine acting females who start at the door, Dora Milaje. They're all masculine acting. They come to the door, and then the Black Panther comes in, and he's supposed to be the authority figure. But when I look at the way he's being an authority figure, it's more like he doesn't want this black man to be a black man. And that's one of the underlying commentaries in this film, that, oh, you can be a Wakandan man, but you can't be a black man. And the portrayal of Eric Killmonger is quite troubling because, again, this is another slap in the face to black masculinity, because as this Eric Killmonger character grows up, they really show us that there's a real contempt for African American men in this film, because your Eric Killmonger is supposed to be this brilliant black man who's supposed to have graduated from the Annapolis Academy in the military, one of the premier pieces of the U.S. military, supposed to have degrees from MIT, and they show us this Eric Killmonger as this violent man who goes out and participates in all sorts of acts of violence due to his military training, and they show him trying to have power as something bad. And again, that's an insult to black masculinity. Moreover, later on in the film, as he gets the power of the Black Panther and the power of the king, what happens is they show him trying to wage war on the world. And again, that was a real insult to me as a black man, because they're saying that this black African American man is extremely dangerous, and that if he was given power, he would go out and try to use his power to go out and oppress white people, because that's what they were saying in that film, that they had to prevent him from taking that Wakandan technology and those Wakandan weapons to go out here and wage war on white people. And again, that's a real slap in the face to black manhood and black masculinity, and it really shows the white supremacist undertones in this film, in that there's a lot of white fear regarding black male power, and that the only black male power that is actually good is the power of a black man who is shown to be submissive to a black woman. And when we look at T'Challa as a hero, he is completely neutered and emasculated, and he is shown in almost every frame submitting to black female authority, and black females are shown as having most of the power in this film. Now, the view of black male power in this film really comes from a black feminist perspective, a gynocentric perspective, and a white supremacist perspective, and it's not a balanced picture of black masculinity and black manhood. Because to say that a guy like Killmonger, if given power, would go out and try to destroy the white man's world, that's an insult to African American men. And then to say that this African male is supposed to be better for the world is another insult, because it's saying that he is only considered good if he submits to black female authority and black female gynocentrism and white supremacy overall, and that the only way to give black people power, economic and political, is through the same paternalistic white supremacist view. Because I look at the end of the movie where T'Challa goes back to Oakland and he's talking about opening a community center, and that smacks of the same paternalism that white people have regarding black people. And again, that's a real insult to black men. And then they announce they're going to share their tech with the world, but that's paternalism, and it comes from a really paternalistic view. And that really did not set right with me, because I look at this film, and again, it did not present us a fair and balanced picture of black manhood or black masculinity. And this is why I say it's so important for black writers to go out and write their own stories in the same way I wrote my own stories, The Temptation of John Haynes and The Man Who Rules the World. Now, with the John Haynes character, I make an effort to give people a balanced and humanized perspective of a black man in a fantasy situation. And the John Haynes character, as he's tempted by Lucifer, the Lord of Hell, and given this CEO position at this Morris Phillips Corporation, he shows the world what a black man would do if given power, similar to the same way that Eric Killmonger was given power. Now, in The Temptation of John Haynes, I compare the CEO of a major American corporation to the same level as being a god or a king in this world of mythology and the world of monarchies. And having that type of power, you have the power to do almost anything you want. And what the John Haynes character does is he's not out to get revenge on many of the people who have wronged him or to destroy the world and reshape the world. No, what he wants to do is help out those in the black community. And in his efforts to help out those in the black community, he goes to his enemy first, the Scott Grayson character who had did him wrong many years ago, and then he wants to work with him towards building up resources in the black community. So what everybody thinks about black men was shown in Black Panther, but what I show you in John Haynes is how a black man would really act, because as a black man, he is willing to set aside his emotional feelings like your Killmonger has regarding the world to do what is right for his community first, and then focus on the overall rest of the world like the John Haynes character does in The Man Who Rules the World. Now, in The Man Who Rules the World, the John Haynes character is the CEO of Morris Phillips, and then this God Cassius character is resurrected by Lucifer to try to take over the world, and the John Haynes character has to take on this threat again from this God Cassius character, who was a malevolent despot who wants to try to conquer the entire world like he did in ancient times with his gem of omnipotence. And in this story, again, we see the John Haynes character taking the lead as a black man, and he's not looking to oppress anyone, he's not looking to destroy other people, he's looking to protect and preserve people's rights and freedoms that they have under Jesus Christ, and give them their right to live in a free world where they have free will. That's what he wants to do in The Man Who rules the world. And he understands it's because he rules his own world and he has control over self and power over self. And that's what he teaches the Eastine character in The Temptation of John Hayes through his example. Because as she's trying to tempt him, she sees his example of black manhood, black leadership, and decides she wants to follow his lead. And that's one of the other issues I had with Black Panther, is that we see the men following the women, but in John Haynes' world, the women follow the men. And that's how things work in God's natural order. The men are the leaders and the women follow the man's lead. And when you have that order, that's when things can get productive. But what I saw in Black Panther was someone who came from a single mother household perspective in writing their story and not an objective perspective. And when I was writing John Haynes, I've always made an effort to come from an objective perspective because I wanted to make an effort to give people a positive and balanced and humanized image of black manhood, black masculinity, and help them understand what a black man would do if given power. Because a lot of people think that if you give a black man power, he will go out here and then try to oppress others. But the real, as I see it, test of power is when that man has been given power, because it's a real test of his character. A man of true character is going to use his power to help others, empower others, and help others move ahead in their lives. But a man with no character is going to make compromises in the same way T'Challa made compromises, or try to destroy the world in the way that Eric Killmonger tried to destroy the world in Black Panther. In both cases, we did not get a balanced and humanized perspective of black manhood and black masculinity. And I believe the only way you're going to get a balanced and humanized perspective of black manhood and black masculinity is from a black writer of fantasy like myself. Now, when The Temptation of John Haynes and The Man Who Rules the World, I make every effort to give you an action-packed fantasy story featuring an African-American hero, but I also make efforts to give you a positive and balanced image of black manhood and masculinity, so that you can understand when a black man has power, he is going to wield that power responsibly, and he's going to wield that power in a way so everyone in his community can benefit from his leadership and his authority. If you would like to try The Temptation of John Haynes and The Man Who Rules the World, you can do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and ebook, The Man Who Rules the World. John Haynes must bring together men and gods to overcome a threat that seeks to destroy the planet. The Man Who Rules the World. Now available in paperback and e-readers everywhere.